Hey, welcome back, friends. Hey, a special day here on the channel from B&W. We've got Taylor and Tyler. They're engineering department.
Yep.
Right. Okay. At B&W. Now, you guys know I've loved the B&W Continuum. Last experience wasn't so great. They reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we come take a look and see what's going on?" That's what today is. Could have been my fault. 100%. We're going to find that out today with the guys that are way smarter than I am. Hope you stick around.
Sit my butt in front of a computer most of the day.
Tyler is here installing this. I want everything to be by B&W's book. So he's here installing this. We've done a video on installing this. B&W's done a video, probably a better video, on installing this unit. We're going to put my old hitch on. I say it's old. It's less than a year old, I think. But we're going to put my hitch on just in case something going on there. I don't think it was. But they've also got a new version. They've done some subtle improvements, but they're very clear to me. Shouldn't matter. Your hitch should perform just fine. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Well, B&W is not going to send 2 engineers to my house. Well, that's not necessarily true. They have sent folks out to help customers. That's one thing I really love about this company is their customer service. They've been extraordinarily easy to deal with, a pleasure to deal with, and I really want this to work. So I'm just going to be quite frank about that. I'm fully aware, as I'll repeat, that experience I had back in November of 2023 could have been me. So I hope that's the case, because I loved recommending this hitch. I've recommended this hitch to hundreds of people. So yeah, don't make any comments about B&W not sending out engineers. They will and have before, and you didn't have to have a big YouTube channel for them to do it. Okay, friends, we're all set up. We're going now. B&W has, I will say, one subtle difference. I believe, I can't remember completely, I believe I was at 1750. PSI. B&W, based on their testing, has me down to 1500. We'll see how that works. I did take away some PSI from that experience back in November. So we'll see how it works, but we're all set up. You can see how the Continuum works. I do believe in those composite bars. I do think that it makes for a smooth ride. But we're all set up. Truck's looking good and level. Trailer's looking good. Let's see what happens. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. All right, friends, we are with Tyler and Taylor from B&W. We're on first little run right here. I'm not looking at the camera because I have 2 extra lives in my truck. So yeah, we'll see what we get. We're just on a side road right now, so we'll get up here to the big road, as we call it, and get up to about 65, 70 and see what we get. All right, so we've been going, what are you, 5 miles, 6 miles, at over 63 to 70 miles an hour. Much better experience this time. Now, I don't think we're in the exact same conditions. We don't have as much dirty air as we did on the big interstate, but even on the side roads last time, I was having way more movement than this. So maybe it was a PSI adjustment. Maybe that needed to be moved. But there's a decent little bump there. But yeah, overall, this is a much better experience. I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep the B&W on for quite some time now and just keep it going. See if we can recreate or see if it's been fixed. And if it's been fixed, maybe it was me, or maybe it was just really harsh conditions. It's really hard to say at this point. We were talking, because you guys have tested the Way Safe as well, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think the difference is the B&W with those composite bars. I think the corrections it's making are soft, and so that can make some of that the rear end feel floaty sometimes, whereas it's a little more harsh with the Way Safe. I think that's a fair assessment there, but as far as the movement's concerned, it's pretty much about the same. So this cures my what would I call that? What would we call it? Hesitation, concerns, hesitations, right? Right. Discomfort with the B&W, specifically on this trailer. Again, I think this is kind of a little bit of a rear heavy trailer. So so far so good. We'll see. We'll keep it going. We'll put several more 100 miles on it and see what happens. So stay tuned. All right, so we're going to kind of recreate what may have happened to me back in November. One of the greatest things about this hitch is it's so easy to adjust. So we were at 1500. We lost a little bit, but we're gonna. I I believe I was at 1750. So I'm going to pop this thing back up to about 1900. There we go. And let's see if that recreates some of the floatiness. You know, that would be on me, right? So they wanted to be at 1500. I think I was around 1750. We pumped it up a few extra pounds to get back to 1750. I hope all that makes sense. And let's see if we can recreate some of that floatiness. And maybe that was the issue I was having back in November. We'll see. All right, so let me get with these guys right quick. And while they're here, this is a great opportunity for me to talk about, you guys are engineers, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys have done a lot of testing, sincere testing. Like I share more experiences. I don't use accelerometers. At the end of the day, in my opinion, somebody just wants a comfortable toe, right? Yeah. You guys get way more in depth, and I think that's extraordinarily interesting. We want to talk about that a little bit with this Continuum?
Yeah, I mean, you know, before we even really started developing the Continuum, we had to learn, you know, the pros and cons of the different types of hitches that are out there. You know, you got the chain style and the L bracket style and the different types of head adjustment and all that, and you know, to figure out the pros and cons of why one hitch is better than the other. And you know, through all that, what we kind of determined that getting that proper setup can be very difficult on a lot of the competitive hitches out there. So we wanted to make that as easy as possible. Not only just the initial installation, but you know, if your load changes or your tongue weight changes, you can make that easy adjustment on the fly. You know, just like we did just a minute ago.
Right.
You know, just because that kind of is what we zeroed in on is one of the most important things in the weight distribution hitch.
Right. And this thing is extraordinarily easy to set up. Now, when we were setting up, based on my tongue weight, you instantly went to 1500 psi. Just based on all of your testing, what made you realize that during your testing? What made you go directly to 15 psi? Just experience, just pure experience?
Yeah, I mean, because I've tested trailers at about every single tongue weight, you know, from the full range of our, you know, from 600 pound to 1600 pound tongue weight, and with about this size of truck and that amount of tongue weight, I know 1500 psi is about right. But,
okay.
You know, a normal user might not know that, so you know, that's where your wheel measurements come in, and getting to that correct front axle load restoration,
right,
is really important. But you know, I don't know if we.
Well, we know there's a factor. Basically, what we'll do, Corey, is we'll take your tongue weight times a certain factor. That's based on all that testing,
right?
And all these different tongue weights, and you run the calculations, and you can draw a line through the best fit curve, so to speak, right, Tyler?
Yeah, right.
And that's how we set up today.
Well, it's an easy equation that you guys give in instructions, and so basically you're measuring. We guys have done the video, I've mentioned it before, but you're measuring your front wheel well, basically, mm-hmm. and loaded, unloaded, and then you get they have an equation they give you, yep. And so it's very easy to install this unit.
Yeah, industry standard equation.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of some of that's gonna change based on your tow vehicle manufacturer's recommendations. You know, like most of the big truck manufacturers will recommend 50% front axle load restoration, but you know, you get to like some of the smaller vehicles or SUVs, those might be closer to 100% front axle load restoration. So the best practice would be to look in your owner's manual and see what that recommendation is.
Right. Okay.
So that optimal, you know, it'll change depending on what your vehicle is, but you know, since I knew what your vehicle was, that made that.
Right. And we've been communicating through email. You guys wanted my truck information, you guys wanted my trailer information, all of that stuff. So you guys came in ready to rock. All right, we're about to merge onto this 4-lane up here, but I wanted these guys, they have a pretty cool testing facility, I guess in Kansas, right?
Yep.
Tell us about that a little bit, specifically the bridge.
Okay, so, well, the bridge is specifically, it's about a mile-long bridge with expansion joints every 250 feet or something like that. So and it's kind of down in the valley, you know, and you get this north wind coming through. And it's a really good test for a weight distribution hitch, because not only do you get the test the difference in bounce and porpoising, but you also get a lot of crosswind at the same time. So it's a good, it can be a good A to B comparison between one hitch and another, and really helped us dial in the Continuum.
And you guys have tested several other hitches.
Yeah,
most of your competitors, I guess?
I'd say most of them that you've heard of, we've tested.
Yeah. Okay, good deal. All right, we're back on the interstate. We've got the updated PSI. We put the PSI up a little bit. Let me get up to speed here. I'm about there, and let's see what we get. I can tell already. You can see the back of the trailer moving a little bit, and this air is not nearly as dirty, as I would call it, as I-75, a big interstate we were on last November. I think, do you guys feel that? You guys seeing it back there?
Yeah.
So this movement is much different than what we experienced when they set it up. So I'm at 69 miles an hour, and now this is not disturbing. Let me be clear, this is not white knuckling. But I can already tell that increase in PSI makes a little bit of it seems to, in the back of this trailer moving. So I'm going to guess maybe I had too much PSI that last time. Are you guys feeling that back there?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's calmed down a little bit now. But there's definitely more movement in the rear of the trailer now than there was, and we're at 70. I don't want to get more than 70 because I don't tow any faster than that. So I don't know if we're headed into a slight breeze this way or if it's the PSI, but there's definitely there's a subtle difference for sure. All right, we've got the increased PSI. We went one way, we were headed west. Now we're going back east, directly opposite of where we just came, to see if the headwind had anything to do with that. So we will see. I'll update you in just a second. All right, oddly enough, on the way back, when the winds were a little different, we didn't have the same experience of the trailer moving around. So we're going to bump it back down to 1500. We're just going to eliminate a variable and see if the PSI really does make that much of a difference. All right, so the unit loses a little bit of PSI as we go along. So it may have been a situation where when we were headed westbound that we were at a higher PSI than when we were headed eastbound. But now we're starting at 1500 PSI. Let's see how that works. So we weren't exactly straight as far as when I just adjusted that. So Tyler said, hey, you may want to straighten out completely. That may make a difference. You guys just saw that I adjusted to 1500 pounds. Well, it bumped it up 200 pounds. So we need to, now that we're straight, now we may have a difference here. Let's pump it down. All right, there we go. Lock back in. That's why these guys are here. Good call, Tyler. All right, again, eliminating some variables. We're doing the same trip back. We're going west again. Before we were at 1750 PSI?
Yeah.
We had a little movement, and we dropped it back down to 15 PSI. You saw the what we had to do to make sure that was correct, make sure we're in a straight line. And I think it's better. I mean, do you guys agree?
Yeah.
But basically, what we're feeling in the truck is much better than at 1500 PSI than it was at 1750. So it can make a difference. I'm starting to think about what happened back in November. I think I probably had too much PSI. I think we had some really dirty air. And so I think we can start to solve the problem for sure. All right, Tyler, let's talk a little bit about just a recap of what we just experienced. I think we both agree that I probably was running too much PSI back in November. That's the only thing, and conditions were different. I think you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's the main variable that we saw the biggest difference with.
Right. We did see a little bit more movement on the PSI I was running going westbound on our little test. We spent about 50 minutes in the truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we saw a little bit more movement with that more PSI. I think that combined with just the dirty air we were seeing on the interstate, I think that was the difference. So here's our setup now, and we're going to be running it for a while. Running 1500 PSI with the original hitch. Now here in just a second, we're going to take a look at the new hitch. They've made some subtle differences. If a company's not trying to constantly improve, well, then they're not doing their job, right? So they've made some subtle changes here. We're going to take a look at that here in just a second. But for now, we're going to continue to run this one for several hundred more miles. And today was, I felt like, as far as the test, we'll get to this hitch in just a second. As far as today went, I didn't experience anything like I did past November. I didn't experience anything disturbing, unsafe, anything like that. So yeah, I'm happy to keep the B&W on for right now to continue going. But yeah, let's take a look at the new hitch. All right, so before we look at the new hitch, here's the new instructions. And you can see, so we just had that experience at the gas station back there making adjustments. You can see they've tested it for all of this. So you can see when you're at an angle here, this needs to be your pressure, for example. These are all examples, of course. When you're straight, your pressure is going to be higher. When you're tongue heavy, when you're tongue light. So yeah, they've experienced all of this. They continue to test this unit, and I really appreciate that. All right, let's show you extraordinarily subtle changes here. So if you have a current Continuum, you're good. Let's be clear about that. It's about 1%. What did you say, about 1%?
1 or 2.
1 or 2% of folks that just push this thing, probably, I'll say it, you guys can't, probably push this thing further than it should be pushed. Maybe.
Yeah,
you guys don't have to say it, I'll say it. And so what they've done for that, they put a safety valve, maybe, in there. They've put an extra safety valve in there so you don't just blow this thing out, right? Again, if you've got the old one, you're good 99% of the time. But when you get feedback, you make improvements, and that's what they're doing. So they put an extra safety valve in the pump here. And they've also put these small little lips here for kind of the same reason. For people that were just hitting those extraordinarily loads over huge dips or, extraordinarily steep driveways. Yeah, they're just making subtle improvements based on what you found from customers, over thousands of hitches now you've sold, I guess.
Yep.
And feedback from those customers. And they've had those couple of comments. And I think it's admirable that they make improvements. So that's the only improvements that they've made on the newest hitch. A little bit better angle on the pump line, right? For certain situations.
Coming off the cylinder.
Coming off the cylinders. All right, guys, cool little prototype here from B&W. This is their tongue weight scale. And I like how it's digital, and it's to the 5 pounds, I guess?
Yeah.
Yep, every 5 pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty darn exact. So pretty cool. Look forward to that coming to market pretty soon. Tyler, thank you guys so much. Now these guys flew in from Kansas to do this, and I am extraordinarily appreciative of that. Again, this is not because I necessarily have a YouTube channel. I think this video will help you guys, maybe if you've had the same issue. But yeah, they've done this for other folks too. So big props to B&W. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Absolutely. I'm going to take these Kansas boys and get them some good Southern food. Guys, I hope you're doing great out there. Every video this 2024, I try to thank you. We're over 75,000 subscribers at this point, and I'm just very appreciative. Thank you so much. Hope you guys are traveling safe. See ya.